Welcome to 101. I'm Greg Bassey, your host from the Salisbury Independent newspaper. It's December 7th here in Salisbury, and we thought it would be a good time to come out to the War Memorial at the Wicomico Youth and Civic Center. And the man who knows more about this memorial than anyone is Tony Sarbanes. Welcome, Tony.
Thank you very much. Nice to see you, even if it is a little chilly.
It's a little chilly, but it's December 7th. It's supposed to be chilly, even
right.
with global warming. But,
Yeah.
you know, what the heck? It's still a nice day. And, Tony, tell us what the inspiration was to build this. This is a really amazing thing here.
Well, back in the early 2000s, David Greer was very involved in this, and there was a feeling that we needed to do something in a very central location. People would see it a lot. We could have various ceremonies here and so on. So a group, actually all veterans, got together and we met. We started raising money. The county provided the land, and no tax dollars went into building this memorial. It was all done off donations. In fact, we had a local architect. I want to give Ed Todd credit. Ed Todd designed this place in-kind service to $19,000.
Wow.
And we had other people who were veterans. George Vickers was one who had a lifetime masonry. They did a lot of things for us at a reduced price. And the other thing was very interesting. At the very end, we still were $40,000 short in paying this off. And Dick Hazel, who was a very philanthropic individual, had Pepsi, he's now deceased, met with us. We explained what we needed, and Dick Hazel, God bless him, pulled his checkbook out, wrote a check for $40,000. The thing was paid off. We have two specific services here, one at Veterans Day and then one at Memorial Day. The crowds continue to get bigger.
The one on Memorial Day, it's packed here. It's a huge crowd.
Yeah, I figured this past year we probably had over 500 people.
Yeah.
And it's very well attended. We keep it brief. We don't, it's a 30-minute ceremony, and Memorial Day, we never have a speaker, but we read all
the names.
91 names of the men whose home of record was Wicomico County, and they gave their life in service to their country. The last one, interestingly enough, and I don't want to say any more names added, but it was a sergeant major, and he was a Bennett graduate who played on the Bennett State Championship football.
Right.
24 years in the service, and was in Afghanistan, was killed by
Like his third tour there, too. Yeah.
He had been there, and it's very unfortunate that we just hope we don't add more names. So all men, and of course World War II is the biggest number. We have 109 names from World War II. Of course Vietnam has 26, World War I has 39, and the list goes on. But
well, it's such a great thing. When pretty much every time I come to the Parks and Rec department for a reason, I will see someone here in some quiet reflection,
right,
looking at the names. It's something that's visited all the time.
Right. We really do have a great turnout. I've been here when I've seen family members come up and touch the name of the deceased and say something. The other thing we did that very interesting is the plaques are at an angle, at waist height. Because I've been to many places where they have plaques up for people, but they're straight up and down.
Right.
So you read,
you have to crouch.
About 10, then you crouch down. A lot of people forget it. I'm not going to crouch down and read the name. So we purposely did it this way. And it works out very well. The Veterans ceremony, we had a very nice turnout on Veterans Day for the ceremony. And then Memorial Day, where it's a little warmer, we really have a great turnout. So it works out extremely well for us. And again, we don't have a speaker. The key is we read the names. The other thing we like to do is have the veterans stand. And I make a point of at least twice asking them if they are able to stand. They enjoy that. They're recognized for their service. Last year I started something. I said, well, if there's a veteran standing next to you, why don't you hug them? And I thought, am I going to lose control
Right.
of the crowd?
Right.
But we didn't. They hugged each other, and then I gave them a couple minutes. I said, well, thank you very much. And everybody sat down. We kept right on going. The ceremony lasts 30 minutes, 30, 35 minutes at the most. We get support from the Sheriff's Department for taps. We have various musicians.
The taps, in that environment, and with these flags, just in all the people, when you play taps, it really means something.
It does. It'll bring you to tears. It really.
It really will.
See people who are wiping their eyes when we play Amazing Grace, and that always gets people in.
And I get a lump when you ring the bell.
Yep. And it's all done with veterans. I want to give some credit to Ed Tattersall, who is a Vietnam veteran. Ed organizes the programs. He's really got it down pat. It's a very smooth operating system. And then, we meet periodically. We don't meet a lot, but when we get ready to have a ceremony, we meet about 3 months ahead of time, and we start planning it, making sure. The other thing we did, sort of interesting, so I have to say this, we used to recognize elected officials by name. Invariably, you miss some.
Right, there's always someone that gets missed.
And then they would complain about it. So we decided in a meeting, we're going to ask all elected officials, and I've been one in the past, would you please stand and to be recognized? That's it. And then I did get one call about that, and I said, well, the key is the 191 names
Right.
on the wall.
Right.
And that's the most important thing we're doing that day. And we're recognizing Gold Star mothers. We're recognizing people who've served. And if you're an elected official and you want to stand up, that's fine. The person who called me said, I absolutely agree with you. And he's an elected official. He said, keep doing what you're doing. And I said, well, thank you very much. And that was the end of that conversation. But it really is an excellent memorial. And the Rexham Parks people are great about supporting us here. It's open, it's out in the open.
Right.
So people
come anytime.
Anytime they want. It's
Yeah.
lit at night.
Yeah.
So it really is a lovely memorial. And what's interesting, when we did Memorial Day this past year, there was a dog show here at the same time. The number of people who stopped and for the entire ceremony, many of them are standing out there with their dogs.
Right.
But, they enjoy it. And, I know many of the veterans who come and families. There was one family that always comes. They had a son who was killed in Vietnam. They always sit in the same place. I can look right out at them. One young man who's on here is a fellow by the name of Chris Barnes. I mean, not Chris Barnes, Barry Barnes. He's Chris's brother. And when his mother was alive, she always sat on the brick wall over there. I could look over, and she was always there. And then, of course, we lost her.
Yeah, the Vietnam names mean a lot to me because I recognize those names. And when I do the Today in History column for the paper, I will see, from the 60s when it's reported that these men died. And just the way it was reported in the paper, it's so interesting because it'll say that the wife received notice from the Defense Department that her husband died, and there was no details yet, and they would put that in the paper, and it's just the saddest thing. It really is. But I think Ernie Davis is the name over there. There's some names that I recognize from doing the history column, and it makes it so real. It really does.
Yeah, I taught 2 of these young men, and one fella, he quit school. He wanted to go into service. I tried everything I could to get him to finish high school. He did not. He went to service, and next thing I know, I picked the paper up, and he was killed in Vietnam.
Amazing.
And that's very sad. When we did this, we were very careful. We put all their names in the paper 4 times.
Right.
And we said, if you have any questions, contact us. I had several calls. I think in the end, we did it right. And the other thing, if we had a question, we contacted the Defense Department. And in all candor, what was good about it at the time, my brother was still in the U.S. Senate.
Right.
So if I needed extra help, I would ask his office, look, there's a question about so-and-so.
Right.
Would you please follow up for me? I got a little quicker response.
Get the hammer out.
If I had sent it myself, they would have said, well, who's this guy in Salisbury, Maryland? But we did it that way, and to his credit, he didn't get involved, but his staff did. And they were very helpful. But it really is a very nice memorial. It's in a central location. It's well lit, well maintained by Rexham Parks. We changed the flag.
Right now, there's a community foundation account where you can donate
Yes.
for the upkeep. Tell me about that. So if people want to help out.
Yeah, there is a community. They can send it to the community foundation, or they can come here and meet with Tammy Taylor.
Tammy Taylor.
The other thing we have is in the lobby of the Civic Center. There's a tree of honor, and it's looks like a tree. You can put your name up there for $100. Now, my father, who was a Greek immigrant, did serve in the U.S. Navy, and I put his name up there. And of course, I'm a veteran, so I put my name up there as well. The Optimist Club, where I'm a member, we screened our roster, and we found we had 36 men who had served in the military. And the Optimist Club paid the $3,600
Wow.
to put everybody's name who served in the military on that tree of honor. Other civic clubs have done that. American Legions have done it. VFWs have done it. And then and they don't have to be from Wycomico County.
Right.
You could be a veteran who's living in California, and you're from here maybe, or not from here. You don't even have to be from here, but your name can go on that tree. And again, they need to talk to Tammy Taylor, who works here at the Civic Center, and she takes care of all that. But that's really a very nice, and it's inside. That is inside.
Right.
You have to go inside
Right.
and see that.
Well, we're thrilled to be here on December 7th, and so glad that Tony Sarbanes could come by and show us this great memorial. Tony, thanks for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
And thanks for your service, and thanks for coming up with this thing. This is great.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. So December 14th is going to be another big day here at the Civic Center. Purdue Farms, our own great corporation, local corporation, is doing wreaths across America, and we have Keith Clark here today to tell us all about it. Keith, what are you doing here? You're the truck guy.
Well, we're going to lay wreaths on the War Memorial here on the 14th.
Now, I see your picture in the paper every year, you with the
Yeah.
wreaths. Now, tell me what this program is. What do you guys do?
Well, it was started by Mr. and Mrs. Worcester from Worcester Wreaths in Harrington, Maine. And, they had some extra wreaths one year. They laid them on a veterans cemetery, and it caught on. It was real popular in the community. And so now it's up and down the East Coast and even some cemeteries, overseas. So what we do is we just we bring the wreaths into the cemeteries, we lay them on the graves, and we honor those veterans that are fallen heroes. We lift up those families, the Gold Star families. Those are the families, people that have lost loved ones, in foreign wars. And that's what it's all about.
So the event on the 14th, people are encouraged to come see this.
Absolutely.
And you see the wreaths, and they're really nice, real wreaths from the forests of Maine. They're beautiful.
Yep.
And when you see them, the photographs of them on the cemeteries, it really will put a lump in your
The
throat.
before and after pictures I really like, because when I go in there at Arlington, this would be my 6th year at Arlington, and I like to go in, take a shot of some of the graves before we do the wreaths, and then take the same shot after we do the wreaths. It's beautiful.
It's about 25,000 wreaths you're going to move this year?
Yep. We've moved 150,000 in the last 10 years. So this year we'll do. That's just us, Purdue.
Right.
Who knows? I'm not even sure how many wreaths they'll do this year altogether, but we'll pretty much fill Arlington.
Right. How great that the company would do this to allow you and your time and their trucks to do this.
Yeah, it's outstanding. And I'm a veteran, so it's kind of, and it touches a spot for me.
What was your service?
Air Force.
You were in the Air Force. Wow. Did you do anything exciting?
Well, it was to me. I worked in the avionics shop for the F-16s.
Wow. See, that's some serious stuff.
It was serious. Yeah.
Now, tell me, you were talking about a motorcade that you took, not a motorcade, but whatever they call it, a convoy from Maine.
It was in 2013. I did the convoy. They'll do a convoy. There'll be about 10 trucks in the convoy. They'll come down from Harrington, Maine, down into Arlington, and that morning they'll do a ceremonial entrance into Arlington. In 2013, I did the convoy with them coming down, and we stopped at high schools, VFWs, American Legions along the way. They fed us, and spending the whole week with the Worcesters and with the Gold Star families and the Blue Star families, that really, I was on board after that.
Wow.
It was nice.
That's terrific. So 10 years of this, do you think you'll be doing it 10 years from now?
I will. I'd be happy to. Yes.
And there's 9 Purdue trucks.
There's 9 trucks. I'll be the only one in Arlington. The other trucks are going into the Naval Academy in Annapolis, West Point up in New York, and veteran cemeteries really from all the way from the peninsula down to Florida.
Well, Keith, we thank you for your service. We thank you for doing this every year.
Thank you.
We look forward to seeing this on the 14th here at the Civic Center, where we have the War Memorial and we'll have the wreaths, thanks to Purdue, the wreaths across America. So thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
We look forward to the event on December 14th here at the Civic Center. They're going to have a bunch of wreaths that they're going to put out, and we just thank the Purdue Farms Corporation and the truck drivers and everyone that make this such a great event. I'm Greg Bassett from the Salisbury Independent Newspaper. Another edition of 101 right here on PAC 14.
First Shore Federal is proud to support PAC 14 and 1-on-1. We'd encourage every business to support PAC 14 and pick a program and support it, and let's make a difference.
Happy holidays from Purdue Farms.